Thanks for clarifying.
I assumed it would.
Yeah. Good evening. The Concord Township Board of Zoning Appeals for April 10th is now in session. I would like to introduce my board. To my far left is Skip Sweeney and Brandon Dines. I'm Ivan Valentic. To my right is Chris Jarrell and Blair Hamilton. And to our far right is Heather Freeman, our zoning inspector. Tonight, under the advice of our legal counsel, we ask that anyone speaking must be sworn in. If you plan on speaking, please stand and raise your right hand. If you're going to speak at all at the microphone, just stand right now and raise your right hand so we can get you sworn in. It'll save us time later. Do you swear that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, say, so help me God. If so, say I do. Thank you. Please be seated. This evening, when you come up and present your case at the microphone, state your name and address for the record and confirm that you've been sworn in, okay? Heather, were the legal notices published in a timely manner?
Yes, they were.
Okay. We have one old business that we have to clean up, and then we have 3 variances tonight. 3-vote majority is required to either approve or deny any appeal. If the request is denied, you have the right to file an appeal. All right. So for old business, we have appeal number 2018-41. They've submitted a continuation from our old business dated April 9th, 2019 to Mr. Lucas, and they're requesting to the continuation. And the letter was from Mr. Richard N. Selby. I'd like to enter this into the record.
Can you clarify, Mr. Chairman, that they requested a continuance until the May 2019?
Yes, correct. I'm sorry, yes, to the May 2019 meeting. Maybe that'll be the day we get that resolved. All right, on to new business then. Okay, first is appeal number 2019-44. Mr. Matt Miskanish is requesting 2 variances from section 15.04B, table 15.04-1 to allow for the construction of a new addition onto his dwelling for the property located at 6367 Fay Road. The first request is to allow for a side yard clearance of 10.25 feet in lieu of the 15 feet required. The second variance is to allow for the front building setback of 46 feet 5 inches in lieu of the minimum 50 feet required. Please come forward to the microphone and present your appeal.
My name is Matt Miskanish from 6367 Fay Road.
And you've been sworn in, sir?
I have been sworn in.
Thank you.
I have a few more pictures and elevations here for you guys.
Sure. You want to give it to Blair?
There's 5 copies if you want to.
Okay.
Thank you.
Do you have a copy for Heather by chance?
You know, I'm sorry I do not.
You can give one to Heather.
You could
Blair, we could share one up here.
So referring to the site plan, I'm looking to add
Oh, the site plan from the packet from what you just
the
gave?
site plan from the original packet.
Okay. Go for it.
I'm looking to add a 2-car garage on the west side of my home. And behind it, while I'm at it, I'm gonna put in a half bath and like a mudroom area. The half bath, mudroom, and extra room in the back falls within the zoning laws. But the way that I have to construct that garage, I have to bump it out 5 feet 9 inches from the structure until I start the garage to give me access to the new garage from the house. So in doing this, it bumps me too close to that side setback. So at 10'3" off the west side, there's another picture that I marked up with a marker that's in your original packet.
Yeah.
It kind of shows the whole picture of what I want to do. And my existing mailbox is right at the front of where the new drive would be. And if you look at that picture, my neighbor's house is 50.5 feet off of that property line, and that's to his garage. His garage is on that side of the house, and the living space is the opposite side of his garage. So what I'm asking for, I think, is insignificant in terms of the variance, and then it would add obvious value to the home, giving me the two-car garage attached. The other pictures I passed out just showed I updated 2 of the 3 sides of that house, and this is waiting to be updated with hopes to put a garage there.
Okay.
So-
My a question on the side yard setback then. Is the whole garage, it wasn't clear on the map, so is the whole garage addition, or is it just a small corner that's in that 15 feet? I wasn't seeing it.
The entire garage is 24.5 feet, plus the 5'9" bump out off the house.
Yeah, I see that. How much of that addition is actually required, is in that setback? Is the whole garage sitting in that 15-foot setback along that line?
No, just that
Just
that
the
left
corner.
back corner
Okay,
sticks past the, that back left corner of the garage portion of the addition,
okay.
at its furthest point is about 10'6" off the property.
Yeah, okay. That's what I was trying to get at.
Yeah.
So it's just that corner. Okay.
And then the front corner, because if you see the site plan, my house is on an awkward angle in terms of the property line.
Yeah.
As I come out, I get too close to that 50-foot from the right of way.
Okay. Yep. Yeah, the property line's kind of weird angle.
It's an awkward angle.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if this is relevant, I think it's relevant. I blew up a site plan and took it to the neighbors. So I had the neighbor at 6365, which is that affected property, and then the neighbor immediately to my right, east, sign off that they're okay with it, understanding that it's X amount closer to the property line. I don't know if, I made 5 copies of that as well. Should I just pass one around, or?
Yeah, pass one around, and we'll enter that into the record as well and give Heather a copy. Did you get anything from them in writing? Or, they signed it, okay.
They printed and signed it.
Oh, okay, great. That's helpful, thank you. You're requesting 2 variances, so we're gonna kind of talk about both of them here and ask questions, and then at some point, we're gonna have to vote on them separately, okay? Just so you know. Does anyone else on the board have any questions?
None.
Nothing? Skip? No?
Pretty
Okay.
straightforward.
You're good. You can have a seat for now. Is there anyone else here that's speaking for or against this appeal that would like to come up? Okay. If there's no further questions, the public hearing for variance number 2019-44 is now closed to the public. I will entertain a motion to approve variance number 2019-44 for the side yard clearance of 10.25 feet in lieu of the minimum 15-foot required.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion for the board? Nothing? Okay. Since there's no discussion, Heather, please call a vote for the approval of variance number 2019-44 for the side yard clearance variance of 10.25 feet in lieu of the 15 feet required.
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes?
Mr. Dimes?
Yes.
Ms. Gerald?
Yes.
Mr. Valente?
Yes. Okay, that has been approved. Next on the agenda is the approval of variance number 2019-44. The second variance for a front yard building setback of 46 feet 5 inches in lieu of the minimum 50 feet required. Can I please have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Okay, Heather, please call a vote for the variance appeal number 2019-44 for a variance to allow a front yard building setback of 46 feet 5 inches in lieu of the 50 feet required.
Mr. Dines?
Yes.
Ms. Carroll?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
And Mr. Longo?
Yes. Congratulations, both of your variances have been approved. Thank you very much. All right, next on the agenda is variance number 2019-45. Mr. and Mrs. Michael Benz are requesting a variance from section 15.04, table 15.04-1 to allow for the construction of a single-family dwelling with a 25.3 foot front building setback from the Hoos Road right-of-way in lieu of the 50 foot required for the property located at 7445 Datcham Lane. Please come up and present your case.
Evening.
Good evening.
I'm Chris Mulchin. I live at 10210 Ailsey Square, Concord Township.
And you've been sworn in, sir?
Yes, I have.
All right.
The variance of 24.7 feet we're asking for actually brings this buildable width of this lot back in line with where it was when it was platted in the 1980s. I have one copy of a drawing here that shows the lot as it's platted with the house on it, and also showing the 50-foot setback and what it does to the lot. If you look at it, you'll see that what it effectively does is it cuts our buildable width down to 50 feet, which is totally out of character with the subdivision in which this is being built. These houses are all probably 75 to 80 feet in width. It'd be totally out of character. By granting the variance, it allows us to build a house that fits the neighborhood, basically. It also fits what's happened around there. It's an older area, Concord. There's already buildings that have side yard setbacks that are around 30 feet off of the right-of-way as well. If I may give you these. Like I said, I only have one copy, but here's our house and the 50-foot setback. There's a house off. This is actually just catty-corner to where we're constructing, showing their 30-foot setback. And then this is the surrounding area. This is our sublot. This is the house I just showed you here. This lot's close as well, and so is this lot here.
Yes,
Comparison. That's this house.
Okay.
It says that.
This is the here.
So my understanding, when this was originally plotted, everything would have been acceptable, but there's been some amendments and changes which
Correct.
render it now.
What we're proposing to build is totally within the lot as it was originally platted.
Back in the 80s.
Yeah.
Are you moving into the new house, or are you staying
We're
where you
actually
are?
constructing it for Mr. and Mrs. Benz, who are also
Oh,
here.
I gotcha. That was the original. Anyone else have questions for him?
No.
Claire? Skip, no, we're good. You could be seated.
Mr. Benz wants to see if you-
Sure, come on up, Mr. Benz.
I think I'm more nervous now than when I did the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame for Cleveland, so I apologize. My wife and I, we've lived in Concord over 40 years, and we love our township. We've been involved in the township, we've raised our kids here, and when we live right next door, so we've seen this lot for a long time, and as you get older and you think about what happens, one floor plan and so forth. So we decided to buy the lot and build a one-floor ranch. And we were unaware that the zoning had changed. I mean, we were unaware. And so my statement, I'd like to just read it to you and give you our feelings, because it
Sure.
really is important to us. So thank you for reviewing our request for the variance on lot 7445, and we live at 7455 Thatcham. So we've been there, as I said. We're requesting a variance from the current zoning, the 50-foot setback to about 25, which was the original layout in 1980 that was already mentioned, when Ascot Farms was developed originally. And we were the first house, the big yellow house, that's been there from the beginning of that development. The previous setback is reflected in the rest of the neighborhood. And in fact, as we looked at the neighborhood surrounding, we believe our new home, and I bought actually the plans as well as the plot map, will enhance the neighborhood and bring at least property values equal, if not enhance it. And one of the other things that would concern me would be the traffic, and maybe that's one of the reasons it originally was changed. Well, one of our thoughts is we're going to keep the fence that goes along Hoos. Not only are we going to keep it, we're going to repair it. It's been in disrepair. Trees have fallen over. It's our plan to repair that fence and then dirt mound along the edge of the fence on the inside on our property to further protect not only our property, but if in case somebody swerves or does something crazy. It's a straightaway. There's never been a problem there, but that's our plan, and we've already contacted landscapers, Landscape Creations, to think about that. This is our third home, and so we know Concord pretty well. And we intend to build a home that will match the development, enhance property values. As I said, we'll repair the fence. If we aren't able to get the variance, it's the home that you could build on the remaining property would not even come close to the homes in the same area and may in the future be very difficult to resell. You know, whether we're here or not, as we age, the estate or anybody wouldn't want to buy a singular looking home sitting in the rest of a development, is my personal opinion. So we respectfully request the variance and setback from Hoos Road inside the fence line. It'll be the side of our home, not the front entrance. In fact, we already adjusted the plan so that because Ascot Farms has a deed restriction so that the garage doors don't face the street, we faced it inward and actually going to bring our driveway up the middle of this lot to turn into the garage. So we've tried to do everything we can to coincide, but make it look really good. It's a beautiful home. It's one that, you know, we're going to live the rest of our lives in, and I think the township and we certainly will benefit from the construction. So I just wanted to tell you thank you for this request.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Are there questions?
I don't have anything. Anyone else have any questions for Mr. Benz? Nope. You're all good.
Thank you.
Have a seat.
Do you want to see the plans or anything?
No, I think we've got enough information in our packet at this time.
Just real quick, so you were one of the first homeowners in the original development there?
Yes, sir.
What year was that?
1986.
86.
Wow,
We were the first house.
wow.
Everybody
Cool
gives
stuff.
directions by, it's that yellow house on what today is the farm.
Yeah, but
In
no.
the future, it'll be a gray house, we hope, or a blue-gray house.
Yeah, that's great.
Is there anyone else here speaking for or against this appeal that'd like to come up? Okay, if there's no further questions, the public hearing for variance number 2019-45 is now closed to the public. I'll entertain a motion to approve variance number 2019-45.
So moved. Second?
Second, all right. Discussion for the board? Anything?
I mean, it was originally platted at 25 feet. There's not a whole lot we can do about that. Hopefully you won't have to come back for a variance on that fence. But it's great, building a ranch.
Yes, ma'am.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just say it maintains the character of the neighborhood. I agree with Chris.
All right. Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, then the question is on the approval of variance number 2019-45. A yes vote approves the variance, a no vote denies it. Heather, please call the vote.
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Dines?
Yes.
Ms. Garrow?
Yes.
And Mr. Valente?
Yes, congratulations, your variance has been approved. Okay, all right, we got another one on our agenda. Variance number 2019-46, Mr. John DeMichael of 7505 RAV LLC is requesting a variance from section 38.098, allow for a wastewater treatment plant and stormwater basin with a zero buffer in lieu of the 50-foot required when adjacent to a residential district for the property located at 7505 Ravenna Road. Would you please come up and present your case?
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good evening. My name is Jim Aveni. I'm the legal counsel for the applicant tonight. With me is John DeMichael, the applicant, as well as a host of construction and design consultants who've been involved in the design and will be involved in the construction of the project.
You've been sworn in, sir?
More times than you can imagine.
Okay, just wanted to make sure we have.
He's an officer of the court.
So I submitted a letter on March 25th, which hopefully is in your packets, to accompany the application, which is the variance statement. And in that letter, I won't go through it in detail, but in that letter, I did my best to apply the Duncan factors to the various issues and the setback that's variance that's being requested tonight. But in short, as a result of the proposed construction of the new building, the intent is to demolish the existing structure and replace that with a new building. And both the detention basin and the septic system, based on the current design, would need to be within that 50-foot setback area. So that's the variance that's being requested. I think it's important to note that with the existing facility, there's a septic system there, and that the actual effluent discharge area will be in the exact same location. So that part is not changing. I point out in the letter that because both the detention basin and the septic system are ground level, that there's really no above ground exceedance of the variance requirement. And then probably the most important thing that we point out in the letter, we understand why the 50-foot setback was required based on the interpretation of the zoning code. But basically, this property abuts the bike trail, and even though by definition the B2 district in this area is considered to be abutting a residential district, it's important to point out that the bike path, which I believe exceeds 100 feet, is actually in between the rear of this property and the closest residential area on Cali Drive. I point out in the letter that based on my measurements, the distance between where the new building would be located and the closest residence, I believe, is somewhere in the nature of 375 feet. So there's really not a significant issue between the commercial property abutting residential property based upon the 50-foot buffer requirement. Again, the use of the property is identical. We're not aware of any additional governmental services that would be required as a result of this proposal. When the property was purchased, I point out in the letter that actually the original survey that was done as part of the purchase of the property made the assumption that the setback requirement was 20 feet instead of 50 feet, which is a understandable interpretation of the zoning code, because looking at the surrounding uses, it's not an easy assumption that the property abuts a residential area because of the presence of the bike path. So that's basically the reasons why we're requesting the variance. We have the design experts here if you have any specific questions about the septic system or the detention basin. Obviously, Mr. DeMichael's here if you have any other questions.
When was the first dye test done?
Hi.
Yeah, please come to the microphone.
Okay. Hi, my name's Kathy Bender. I am a professional engineer, and I am the owner, president of my own company, Caribbean Engineering. I do residential and commercial wastewater work.
Can you state your name, your address, and that you've been sworn in for the record?
I have been sworn in. My address is 330 Downing Drive, Chardon, Ohio, 44024.
Thank you.
So as part of just trying to solve the situation for this lot, we went through Nowaka, we went through Paynesville, Lake County Utilities, and the Ohio EPA. So I asked John here to find, we knew where the tanks were, they had to be discharging somewhere. Because that era of systems, it was normally a tank, some type of filter bed, and an outlet. So we dye tested it. He did it on his own. He has some. Yeah, in January it was. He has some video of it and put red dye into the septic tank, and it came out behind the building. He marked the location. You could see the PVC pipe that was exiting into the ditch, as long as in the same location that the floor drains were exiting into the swale behind the building.
Why did you wait until far after title transferred before you had a dye test done?
Because we were on the assumption that we were going to put in a new septic system from the start. Sewer, and then we were asked to go into the sewers, but there isn't any sewer available at the street for us to do. That was the original plan when we were going to construct a new building. Was just it would be easier and simpler to go into the city sewers, but there isn't anything available at the street.
So you went ahead and bought the property?
This was asked.
Right. So my point is that when you were doing your due diligence, you didn't conduct the dye test.
No.
You didn't know what the situation was with the sewer or a sanitation system. I just find it very interesting that, and the survey was also completed after title transferred. And I find it very interesting that they thought there was a 20-foot setback when all you have to do is look on the zoning map to see that it was adjacent to residential. Mr. Aveni, your letter refers to 315 feet from the rear of the existing structure, but the new structure is only going to be about 150 feet from that residential area on Cali Drive. So anyway, the bottom line is, I just find it interesting that people buy properties and they don't really look into it. That enough said there. But the point is that you're putting in a new system. It's 150 feet from the residential area. I'm down that path all the time. It smells like sewage right now in certain spots. So I guess how, perhaps, ma'am, you can explain what kind of system this is, and I mean, don't get into detail where our eyes are rolling in the back of our heads, but just so we know that it's going to be adequate, there's not going to be an odor coming from it, etc.
Okay, so all properties are most likely have to update their septic systems if it's over, so much time. So this is a complete upgrade to the existing system. It is providing a higher quality effluent, cleaner water going into the existing swale, where before this raw, worse water was going. So there was an existing septic system on the lot, and we're upgrading it to a modern system that meets the state of Ohio requirements, the Ohio EPA requirements. It consists of a aeration system that provides air to provide better bacterial treatment of the wastewater. It is then, because it's in a commercial system, it does get pumped through a surface sand filter to catch anything. The sand filter, we can set it lower in the ground. Once it passes through the sand filter, it does get ultraviolet disinfection.
Has the EPA approved all this already?
They have given us conceptual approval to proceed, because we had to jump through a lot of hurdles to get approval from the EPA to allow us to proceed. And I have a copy of an email, and I thought it may have been provided to you, but it was, once we had met certain requirements, that they gave us this approval.
From Chuck Allen?
Oh, I see it is in front of your zoning inspector here, from Chuck Allen. So Chuck will be our representative. We've conversed with him a couple of times. Again, for the EPA to give us permission to proceed, we had to provide information from the Northeast Ohio Regional Coordinating Agency, NOACA. We had to discuss with the Lake County Department of Utilities the situation, and once we covered all those bases, the EPA allowed us to proceed with the design. I've got it halfway done because I can't move anything once I have official approval. So once I know that we're okay today, I will proceed with the finalizing of the plans and the submittal for the PTI. I am also stay with this through construction and oversee, installation and provide inspection.
So if we do approve anything today, I would propose that it be conditional on getting all of these, obviously getting all these approvals from the various institutions. I personally think it's great that you're going in and improving our community. That property's been sitting there for a long time. But you're putting a big building on that property, and like I said, it's only about 150 feet from the residential area. I respect your landscape plan, but I think that more should be going in back there. There's really not, there's some foliage definitely on the east side of the path, but not on the west side.
Mm-hmm.
There's just not a lot there.
And there's nothing shown on the landscape plan, so that was one of
Right.
my outstanding questions. One is, what's after, you're clearing this whole area, we're supposed to have a 50-foot buffer, right? That's getting worked out. Is there anything staying in that back area? Are we getting?
There's nothing there.
Supplied pictures. Do you have the pictures of the area that's there now? There really isn't anything
Yeah, it's just
there
scrub.
now. It's just
The scrub, right?
yeah.
Right,
There
so
isn't
are
much
you gonna,
there in that 50-foot setback?
so are you gonna come and put something back in along that property line then,
Yes.
or no?
Yeah.
Because right now the landscape plan doesn't show anything.
Ms. Gerald, just to address your other valid question, or to clarify, with the original survey, which was done, I'm not sure what the date is that's
The
shown.
30th of July.
All right, there were obviously prior versions of that.
Sure.
But my understanding from the surveyor is that it wasn't obvious to them going through the zoning code that this particular property abutted residential property because you had the intervening bike path, which is of some significance. So I would just point out that, I think I understand the interpretation of the township, and when it was explained to us, it made sense, but I also understand how the original surveyor made the assumption that it was only a 20-foot setback requirement.
Assumptions are tricky things.
Yeah, I understand.
And it's pretty evident to me, maybe that's just because I've been looking at the zoning map for so long, but there are colors. There are color codes on that map, and it's just astounding and alarming to me that surveyor could have made that mistake.
Mr. DeMichael,
Yes.
have you been sworn in this evening?
Yes.
You have been, okay. Just wanted to make sure. So you're looking for a variance to essentially build in the entire 50-foot setback.
Correct.
So back to the landscape plan that's in front of us, you're proposing the detention basin there and this package plan. And there's really nothing else shown back there but lawn in the plan that we have in front of us. So I guess what would be the plan or the approach to, you know, if
We can plant trees along the back line, if that's what you would like to see back there. So you know, to more brush or whatever that would hide, if that's what you're
I
requiring.
would like to see that, for sure. Well, how does Lake Metro Parks feel about this? Do they know?
Ms. Gerald, I did receive a phone call from Vince Urbanski with Lake Metro Parks. He inquired as to the variance. I sent him all the documents. He replied back saying that they did not have an issue with it, and they were happy to see that the building come down.
Great.
Go ahead.
I have several probably very obvious questions, but I don't understand dye tests or anything like that. So I'm gonna ask a couple questions. The septic, as I'm looking at the renderings, the septic system that is noted here, is that where the original septic, the current septic system is?
Which are you looking at?
Well, on any rendering that notes
It
the
is
septic
not.
system.
It is not.
It's not going to be where the original one is, no.
No, what I'm asking is the one on all your drawings, your renderings, that says septic system. Here,
Yes,
yeah, right here.
yes, that's where
Right
it's
there.
going, correct.
Okay, that's where it's going.
Correct.
All right, so there is not one currently there.
No.
Not in that
Not in that
location.
the discharge is in
The
that
discharge,
location.
the discharge point of the effluent is in the same area
same area.
as
All
the
right, that's my
current
next
system
question.
and-
So, you have the same issues. Regardless, you have a discharge there
Correct.
currently.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
And then that goes to, where does that go to?
It goes where it's been currently going. There's a swell in the back
Swell.
there. It goes off into the drainage.
But it goes through an aeration system.
Right,
and
it goes
it's
through the
all
system
drained.
first. Okay.
It is something that is serviced and will be tested before the Ohio EPA requirements. And again, it's a lot cleaner than what has been happening there.
Will the EPA be requiring a maintenance plan? Are they coming out on a regular basis to check that?
They will require a service provider, and that person will come every 6 months.
Okay.
Maybe I could interrupt and ask a question here if you don't mind. Oh, I'm
Okay.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead. I'll wait.
No, I'm just trying to get to the bottom of this. Mr. Chairman, do you know if, or any of the members know what the zoning requirements are for location of septic systems?
There's, go ahead, Heather. I don't know if there's,
We don't have a,
Are-
we
are
don't
there
have a
any?
zoning- we don't have a setback on septic systems.
I think it's governed by the health district.
It is.
Right.
That's not within the township zoning authority.
Okay,
The Lake County stormwater, sure, the health district monitors that and ensures that's in compliance with their requirements.
okay.
And whenever you have.
Are they okay with
commercial-
it?
Whenever you have a commercial property, the EPA has to be involved. And then they require a maintenance program. So it's really just monitoring to the nth degree.
All right, so they're gonna be
They're-
overseeing this.
and they're here, we have a 50-foot buffer requirement on the back of the parcel. They're saying that they can't preserve that buffer. They're gonna come in and build the detention basin in the buffer and this treatment plant, which is not allowed in the buffer. And now that's why they're requesting the variance of 0 feet essentially.
Well, nothing's allowed in the buffer,
Right.
but we have a situation here, if the septic, I don't know, if it doesn't work, if it breaks or whatever, it's just that much closer to residential property, whatever. So that's what I'm trying to figure out here.
Let me ask you a question if I can now. You're gonna build this building, right? A brand new building.
Correct.
You're gonna construct a septic system, the whole process by which is gonna be governed by the EPA, the health district, and everybody else. And I presume you're gonna do that up to the code and standard required and demanded of you by all those governmental bodies and entities, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And in doing so, that might be closer to the Metro Parks bikeway, and it might be closer to some of these properties. But I suspect that through the processes governing you, you're going to maintain that system as you're required to do, right?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you.
When we were laying out the site and the parking in the building, did you look at any options that didn't impact the 50-foot buffer?
Very good.
Is for the septic or for
In
both?
general, yeah.
In general?
Did you look at any options that didn't, impact the
Yeah,
50-foot buffer?
I'll make a comment, and then if John wants to clarify anything. I mean, obviously, as the occupant of the proposed building and the operator of the business, he knew what size building he needed, and in essence, in order to get the building that he wanted, you work from there and then figure out with the parking requirements and the landscaping requirements what you can do around it. So I think the correct answer is that in order to bring the detention basin and the septic outside of the 50-foot setback area, the size of the building would have had to shrink to the point where it would not have worked for the planned operation. John, do you want to add anything?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there really isn't any other place to put it. When we originally first bought the property, we were told that we could tap into the sewer, but there isn't anything available at the street, and we viewed the options of force mains, and Lake County Health didn't want that, so we wanted to try and do force mains out the back, and then they said the sewer systems are at their capacity, so we can't tap into those. The only thing we can do is do a gravity down the road, which would roughly cost $300,000 to $400,000 to do.
That's not in your budget?
They say that kind of stuff all
So
the
can
time.
I'd
It's
like to
amazing.
ask about the visual aspects of the installation.
Okay.
It says that you're gonna build a 6-foot fence around this. What is the above ground portion of the system that could be seen?
Basically, the first 2 tanks are in the ground, and you see the lids and a blower on top. It's like maybe a little housing. It's similar to a home aeration system. It's a Norweco. They are used on homes, so you may have seen on neighbors' houses the green lids. The additional item, though, for the EPA is the surface sand filter. Again, maybe in older residences, you may have noticed the concrete block in front of somebody's home. That is a surface sand filter. They can be lowered, they can be higher. Our intent is to hit the swale by gravity, so it may be a little higher, okay?
What's a little higher?
They're only 4 feet tall, so it's probably 2 feet in the ground and 2 feet above the
Okay.
ground. Maybe 3 feet above the ground and 1 foot in the ground. Again, I'm trying to
Okay.
hit that existing discharge location. We don't want anybody to mess with the equipment, with the panels there. And as part of an Ohio EPA requirement, they do ask for a fence to be put around these items. It's for security, and it's just to keep people from messing around with them, going in the sand filter, you know what I mean, type of deal. So it is just for security, to put a fence around it, just to keep people from, coming off the bike path and opening the panel or something. So that's the reason it's Ohio EPA requirement for safety and security.
So this will be visual from the bike path. What type of fence do you intend to put up?
You can put up a wood fence, you can put up whatever is necessary, more pleasing to the eye.
Mm-hmm.
You
I
know,
would like that.
the plastic vinyl, which might look a little better at last.
Okay.
And it's just enough to surround the plant and run a lawnmower, so.
How many restrooms are in this facility? Like, what are we treating out here?
Well, there'll be about 5 employees in the building, but we have to have the women's, and then, you know, for employees, so there'll probably be technically 3 restrooms.
Okay, so, just one more question I have for the record. So you'd be willing to, work with the township to find a fence product, vinyl or wood to put around there?
Absolutely.
Let the township approve that, and you would also be willing to come in, update the landscape plan to show some kind of evergreen screening of trees along the
Trees
back
along the back
property,
property, yes.
line as well?
Absolutely.
Okay. Okay. I don't have any more questions. Does anyone else on the board have any more questions?
So when you realized you had to come in and get a variance, were you under the impression when you bought the property and had the survey done, and the survey made the assumption that it was a 20-foot setback, were you under the impression that you were going to come in and ask for a variance on that, a full wipe out of that whole 20-foot?
Well, if you look at the site plan, there is some distance between the rear property line
Yeah, I noticed that.
and the perimeter of the detention basin, and even more for the septic system. I don't know what those dimensions are, so I'm not sure if it was a 20-foot setback. It looks to me like it'd be close, but I mean, I don't know that they knew at that point. They bought the property thinking it was a 20-foot setback, and that they'd be able to work around it. So it's possible that they still may have been coming looking for some small variance.
Well, is that 20 foot or not?
Is what, 20 foot?
The distance between, are you asking specifically about the septic?
Where the septic is?
Well, whatever
Or-
setback you have to comply with.
It
Well-
says it's 20 on the site plan.
Yeah, and the fence is 10 feet off,
Okay.
or 11 feet off. My guess most of that, like they said, is there isn't much there. They're gonna disturb it all when they're coming in there and constructing this thing. So that's why, if it was, anything in the buffer would have to not be touched and fenced off.
But what I guess what I'm getting at is did you anticipate the fact that you were going to have to come in here and ask for some sort of a variance?
We were anticipating actually tapping into the local sewer when we originally
When it
bought
was
the property,
purchased.
when it was
And who
purchased.
told you that you could do that, and now you realize you can't?
The
Well-
original listing said it was public sewer.
Right.
Well, wait, let him answer.
Well, as I understand it, again, John, you can clarify, when the property was purchased, the understanding was that public sewer was available, and there were a couple different options, either tying in at the street on Ravenna, or a second option of tying in through the back of the property to the, I guess it would be the
Cali
Cali Woods neighborhood.
Or the riding trail up the street.
Right, and it ended up going through the Department of the Utilities that neither of those two options were feasible. The county didn't want, as I understand it, to tie in on Ravenna, and there's no capacity in the sewers going through it, and it would have taken a project to go under the bike path to tie into Cali Woods, but there's not even sewer capacity there.
Yeah,
So at that point, really, it became the discussion of making the commercial septic system work.
all right, so you had no idea. You were just going to wing it. I mean, you didn't know whether you didn't know whether you could tie into the sewer or even which sewer you could tie into. You found this all out afterwards?
Well, I mean, I think the fair answer is when they bought the property, it was under the belief that public sewer was available, and then they found out after purchasing the property that that was not feasible.
Wow.
Bad agent.
Well, I mean, I just, did the county say, yeah, you could tie in, and then when you went to actually do this, they, oh, well, wait a second, we're all full up. We don't, you can't tie in any
From
longer.
what
Is
I
that basically what happened?
Yeah, from my understanding, yes.
And then
I
this,
I talked with Lake County Health, and that those are the options that they said we could have, and then when it came down to doing it, they said that they're at their capacity from behind us at Cali
all
Way.
right, so you're, all right,
And then
so,
they didn't want a 2-inch force main, going up to Riding Trail in the right of way.
that's underneath the trail and all that way, which is kind of prohibitive, but now so who told you that? Do you know the person at the county that told you this?
Not at this
All
time.
right. Because I'd be all over him right now, all right? Because that's why you're here. One of the big reasons why you're here. Now, this $300,000 alternative, what is that? Going down the
Grabbing
hill?
normal sewers to go back to down the hill.
Yeah,
and
going all the way down the hill.
Going all the way down the hill, there is a,
Pump
station.
station
Yeah.
at the
Pump
bottom
station.
of
Yeah, at the
Pump
bottom of the
back
hill there.
Past us
right.
to go back up the hill.
Right, and that's to get it back up the hill.
Yeah, correct.
Well, that's crazy. So had you been able to tie in to the front sewer
Correct.
that is now too full, I guess, right? Had you been able to do that, then none of this would be necessary.
Correct.
Well, they'd still have to build a detention
Detention
basin.
basin.
Right,
basin
but
part,
Which
yeah.
is
I don't
still
think
in
that
the-
would have been a big deal.
It's still in the buffer, you're still cutting, I mean, that's what
Right,
we're
but
talking about.
we're all asking about the septic. I'm most concerned about the septic. So, all right. I don't have any other questions.
Okay. Larry, you good?
Done?
Done?
I don't have anything.
All right.
Thank you.
You guys
Okay,
can be
thank you.
seated. Is there anyone else here that's speaking for or against this appeal that'd like to come up? Anyone? Okay. There's no further questions. The public hearing for variance number 2019-46 is now closed to the public. Okay, open for discussion to the board. Who would like to go first? Oh, sorry, Brandon, jumping the gun. Is there a motion to approve variance number 2019-46?
So moved.
Second.
Second, okay, now it is open for discussion on the board.
I'll
I think-
start.
Brandon, go for
Sorry?
it.
Because you're so
He's
good at
chomping
being
at the bit.
succinct
No,
and right to
Just
the point.
diplomatic.
You already
I-
did it, please do it again.
I just thought I was trying to move it along a little bit. I might be a bit of a simpleton, as you all know. But I look at this,
second
I
that.
think the property truly, the property is, it's an eyesore now. I commend him for what he's trying to do. I think we're talking about 5 employees using some toilets a couple times a day, so we don't have usage as we would with 10 people in a home using showers and toilets. It doesn't appear to be exhaustive. I know, for instance, my neighbor's septic system, Todd Goling, who's an alternate on this board, is rather close to my house. I haven't had any issues, but in most of Concord, septic systems run a little bit close, and it doesn't seem to be too much of a problem. And I think in this particular instance, we're going to have a gentleman putting in a system governed by the EPA, the Health District, and everyone else. And I suspect by what the drawings show and what the plans are, is going to be far better than most of the ones we have. It's going to be current, it's going to be updated, it's going to be a real benefit to this area. He's indicated he's willing to put fencing in, he's willing to put trees in, he's willing to do everything that he can. And the issue of buying the property and getting bad advice or not, in my estimation, is excusable neglect on his part. It sounds as though everything he's done was what he should have done. I know he's represented very well, very competently by Mr. Aveni. That being as it is, he's in a position now requesting from us something to do, giving him the only option that he has. I don't see anything else. The topography of the land, the particular position in which it is placed, whether you got bad information from a surveyor or whatever may have happened to you. I think being before us now as you are with what he has here presented, I see no problem with it whatsoever. I think it's a good solution, maybe the only solution, and it'll be a nice thing. The Metro Parks doesn't care. I don't see anybody here from Cali Woods speaking against it. Public notices were sent out, so I don't know why. In my estimation, I see no instance or no issue with denying his request.
Okay.
That was longer than I wanted to be, sorry.
It was
You
perfect.
suggested I'd be succinct, and
It
I
was
not.
perfect.
But it's my opinion, as a simpleton.
Okay, now you get to follow that up. Go for it.
I echo it completely. It was perfect.
Okay. Anyone else?
Don't not speak because
Except
I
for
ran
just-
around.
except for
No,
the simpleton
I don't-
part.
I'm
I'm
just-
not a simpleton.
I don't want Brandon to make it look like the rest of the board is against this project, or against the variance for that matter. I think we all love it. I mean, I drive past that building every day, and I have for 15 years. And I'm so glad to see it going, and I'm so glad to see you guys putting something in that's gonna be good looking and productive and an awesome addition. But I just wanted to bring up the fact that you know, you got surveys that aren't quite on, you've got representations made by county representatives that didn't pan out, and it's making you guys look bad, okay? So, my point was, I would have had them in here with me tonight, okay? But other than that, I think it's a wonderful project, and I actually don't think the request is that outlandish, so.
And I would just like to add to that, Skip, you're pretty incredulous that this all occurred with the health department and what have you, but I'm here to tell you tonight that that is standard operating procedure and how it works with the properties, especially with commercial properties, and the whole process that you have to go through. It happens all the time.
It's unfortunate.
It is.
Okay. Larry, you good?
Nothing to say, no.
All right, I got nothing to say.
Claire, nothing?
Nothing today.
So, the question is approval on variance number 2019-46 with the stipulations that the, Mr. DeMichael has approved that he will put a fence around the system. He'll work with Heather and the zoning team to get some kind of material approved. He also had landscaping and update the landscape plan to show some trees along that property line to buffer the improvements from the trail and any views to the residents across from the trail. So, can I get a motion to approve 2019-46 based on those additional stipulations?
So moved?
Second.
Okay, Heather, please call a vote for the variance number of 2019-46 with the stipulations. The yes vote will approve it and no vote denies that.
Ms. Gerald?
Yes.
Mr. Dines?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes?
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
And Mr. Valente?
Yes, your variance has been approved. Thank you very much. All right, if you guys want to stick around, it's going to get crazy in here for the election of chair and vice chair.
I don't think they want to stick around.
Okay, it's going to get ugly. Will someone make a motion for the election of chair and vice chair?
I would move to continue yeah.
Yeah, that's just,
Why do you have to make a motion every time?
I jumped in quick. I don't plan any hijinks or subterfuge.
He thinks that eliminates him from the process.
Yeah.
Wait, want me to wait?
Thank you all.
Thanks. Good luck with the house.
I got to tell you, not official, I mean, I've been sworn in. I went to the neighbors around us and got signatures for their support.
Oh, no problem. Thank you. Good luck with the house.
Thank you, sir.
I'll be in touch with you. Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Folks, if you guys are done, head on out. We're going to wrap up our meeting here. All right. Have a good evening.
Good
Bye,
night.
everybody.
Good luck.
All right. Brendan?
I nominate that the
fireworks begin.
the current chair and vice chair
Second.
Stay in their current positions.
Wait, there might be another nomination.
No.
He seconded.
Okay, second.
And who is that? Oh, wait.
Yeah, see, no, yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, with Yvonne as chair and
And
Mr.
Skip.
Sweeney as vice chair.
Vice chair.
Continuity
Okay.
of leadership.
Exactly.
All in
these
favor?
turbulent times in Concord Township, this continuity is going to steer us in the right direction going forward.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. It's been approved. All right, last thing, we get out of here. Minutes. Call for a motion to approve the minutes from March 13th.
So moved?
Second? Second. Is there any additions, deletions to the minutes? Nothing? Okay. Can I get approval on the minutes as written from March 13th? Aye. Yes.
I haven't
Aye,
approved.
yes.
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 Note my
Wonderfully
abstention.
And he's
done.
abstaining, okay. The minutes have been approved from March 13th. The Concord Township Board of Zoning Appeals meeting for April 10th is now closed.